It's almost here. I feel it. I know that if you're watching here, you can feel it too. The NFL season is almost here. And every year we're always geeked up. But us Dolphin fans have a little extra in the kitty this year. I don't know how you can't see that this team has a ton of talent, more talent than we've seen in a long time, and how you can't see the possibilities of this team doing something good this season and not be excited about it. Now, I know there's caveats. I know there's things that can get in our way to block us. I talk about it all the time. I'm a little bit of a boogeyman when it comes to the Dolphins. But the angle of possibilities, the perspective of possibilities for this team is different than we've seen in a long, long time. And so this season is a little bit extra excitement, at least for me, and I think for any Dolphin fan out there. And ultimately, my real passion for the season and the certainty that I have is not whether we're going to win 17 games, 15 games, go to the Super Bowl, not go to the Super Bowl. My excitement, the core of it, is to know that this season we're going to get a final exam on critical aspects. And if we pass it, then there's great signs for the future. But even if it's not, at least we're going to know the truth. And so, I mean, I got so many other teams that I'm interested in watching. The AFC East, how awesome the division is, battling it out. The AFC, how awesome it is. There's so many things going on. But for me, the love of my Dolphins and the possibility of getting to something worthwhile, real possibility, and then ultimately the truth about the season is what makes a 2023 season just, I think, a little different than seasons before. So I'm going to cover a couple topics today. A lot of coverage loves Tua. They just bang the bell. It's Tua all this time. You know, Tua part his hair this way. Tua wore this that day. And it's like every day Tua around the clock. And I just feel that there's a level of using the kid. And so I kind of hold back my coverage of Tua unless it's really critical, not because I don't like the kid, because I don't believe in using the kid the way he is used. That's somebody's business model. That's fine. But I personally don't do it. But when I do cover Tua, I really feel like it's based on something that's got some gravitas. Now, we all know the Ryan Clark thing and Tua getting feisty. I think there's some quality stuff to talk about in there, and I'm going to speak about that. Then I'm going to get into the Taylor situation. I don't think he's coming. I think it'd be he could, but I think it's crazy to bring him. But I kind of getting that little feeling with all that stuff's going on that I could be wrong. So I'm going to deal with that and then deal with him coming, the positive and highs and lows of it, because it's not just one thing. It's going to create two things, and you want the positives to outweigh the negatives. So I'll get back to that because I got the feeling that maybe this gets done, although there's other teams that are probably going to be willing to give a little bit more, but I'll cover that. And then Dolphins, Jags, I'm going to cover that little part there because the evaluation we're getting is special. It's different. I'll get into why and all that stuff. And then injuries and the last practice. And that will be what I'm going to deal with today. And I think all these really offer some good stuff. And so I'm excited to get into that. Now, I'm doing my live again tomorrow. I'm going to go into the Jaguars game, different keys that we can get because every game doesn't bring the same level of valuation and same level of keys. Now, when you've got smattering of starters and it going against starters for secondary, second string, third string, and it's just incongruent lineups, it's very difficult to really kind of get an ability to project going forward. Now, the same thing can be said to a Saturday versus the Jaguars, but when you got two groups of starters, you're going to get some more out. So I'm going to spend my time in the live going over that. That'll be to Friday at 10 p.m. Eastern time. Also, I'm putting a podcast out tomorrow. I'm giving a little preamble on it because I've taken a stark side here saying our run game isn't what it's looked like the last 2 weeks. But the podcast that I'm putting out is going to be like, well, maybe you're wrong, telling me I'm wrong. Half it will be like, maybe I'm wrong and why. But then the other half is to kind of go over the macro ideas of why I have my stance. Now, some people wanted me to do like blow by blow of the run game to kind of dial in, but it's so difficult. As an example, the last game, A-Chain had, actually Ahmed had a run outside, a pitch outside, and Cedric O is on tackle. And I forgot the guy's name, but he's like a journeyman, less than a journeyman. He's like 242. He has hand in the dirt at the D end. He took an inside route on a pitch, and Cedric O just dominated him. And that peeled things open for A-Chain to get that run. Now, it doesn't nullify the block. It doesn't nullify the run. But you're not going to get a 242-pound guy who's less than a journeyman in that position. And then when you do, and he goes inside, clearly the point of that run has to be centered on the failings of the end. And it's not to take things away, but it just becomes so big to kind of get into these things. But the macro ideas is what I'm going to cover tomorrow, both how I could be wrong and how I could be right. So I'm going to get into the Tua Feisty thing. You know, this kid, I think for many times was right to do what he did, which is take the higher ground and keep himself, you know, calm and cool and kind of dismiss it. There's a couple times along the way I thought, you know, maybe he shouldn't. And there was maybe a couple times where he got, you know, a little excited and started like pointing on certain things that I said he shouldn't. But this time I loved what he said, how he responded. He had to, and this was such a great moment for the kid. Like I said, I don't do a lot of Tua coverage because I really like the kid. And this constant 24/7 polarity of left and right for Tua is not good for the kid. And it creates what Ryan Clark did, is use him as a way to get clicks. Now, I'm not mad at Ryan Clark. I do this thing here, and it's hard. Anybody who would talk this much about a subject is going to stumble and get, you know, into it and say the wrong thing. We all do it. If you listen to what you're saying about Joe and Bobby and Tommy and talking about this politician, that politician, you're saying stuff that, like, if you were on this channel, you would be in big trouble. So, but Ryan Clark, I thought, was called to task by Tua, and he gave notice to others who might try this thing because it was a little out of bounds. It was kind of like, just from a projection standpoint, from like an angle standpoint, I thought it was off. The kid's had, he gets thrown around, he gets concussions, and so he builds his lower body up to drop his center of gravity, so he's more difficult to be thrown around, so he has more power to hold himself. It's smart. He's not going to be Michael Vick. He doesn't need that kind of speed. He needs to have size and mass so he could drive the ball a little bit better, protect his lower body, and protect his upper body by grounding himself, by anchoring himself. And anybody who's played any kind of football knows that, or even if you haven't, once the season starts, you are in a car wreck and you get banged. Even if it's a little time. And, you know, when you play Pee-wee sports, and, you know, the next day you got to suck your pops and you're like, oh, yeah, I felt yesterday game a little bit, you know. But on the pros, you know, you had the day before, you might be working out. You know, you got your walkthroughs. It's going to be minimalistic probably. Then you get the game, you ain't doing anything there. The next day, you're not certainly doing something. Unless you're insane like Ricky, who's running, doing his sprints in the Olympic level swimming pool right after a game. Most guys ain't doing that. So the muscle is atrophying a little bit, and you know you're burning calories, and so you're going to get slimmer as the season goes. So for him to be stocked up on size is smart. I didn't get it. I thought it was kind of creepy that he was like comparing him to a girl. I guess that's like a strip joint. I don't know. Anyway, Tua did the right thing. Clark, I thought, came back mostly and was pretty reasonable, was humble about it. Of course, he had a thing like, I made my money on violence. He had to throw a little ego in there, but I thought Tua should have said, you get scrappy because scrappy means you're going to scrap. I don't know. That was the only thing. But Tua handled it right. He turned the spotlight back on Clark. He did jujitsu in the offseason. And he learned to throw himself and land and all this. Get thrown and land and all that stuff. And now he's taking the media and he's taking the way they do him and he's jujitsu'd it right back. And that is what he needs to do for most situations. And I love it. And maybe we'll be able to trim back some of this verbose ridiculous. I think we were talking about Tua, like the movie, and they were like up in arms over it in like Twitter or something a couple weeks ago. It's so ridiculous. So anyway, good for you, Tua. I'm very happy. Jiu-Jitsu is definitely paying dividends on the field and off, it seems. So now, before I get into the Talyor thing, I want to say, guys, the likes, the subscribes, the comments, the views, it is what makes this channel go. Salesman thing is not my thing, but it's the realities of this channel. So please, if you haven't liked, subscribed, commented, please do that. And also, if you subscribed, hit the notification bell, and then the bell will ring when I do my thing and you can stop by here. I'm still working that one out. Anyway, guys, thanks for everything you do. I really appreciate it. Without you, this channel isn't going down. So I want to give you a shout out and a shout out to Ace Per Head. Because without the two of you, this show ain't going down. Ace Per Head's betting software is the premier white label platform for bookies to manage their players and grow their sportsbook operation. Click the link in the description below to get set up in minutes. Ask for the Curtis promo and get a special introductory discount. All right, so the Talyor thing, I just didn't think any chance of him coming. I didn't think Cook was going to come, and he didn't. But that doesn't mean I am going to be right with this. I could be wrong. And I'm not a betting guy. My sponsor is not into betting. It's a software for that stuff. But I know nothing about this stuff. But it's plus 200 odds that Talyor goes to the Dolphins, and then like 400 for the next team. And that's a big deal. It's like a big difference. And so there's a lot of people with money saying this guy is going to go to the Dolphins. And when you see all the big guys talking about it, they're saying Greer's serious and this is a big deal. And it's like a hot thing. And my spider sense says, maybe Curtis, you might be wrong on this one. Now, I still am holding my ground on him coming here. I've watched him run a ton. This kid is talented. But when you go and watch his runs, he had phenomenal blocking, lots of big holes, ability to get to that second level. And I don't think he's going to see the same stuff. And I'll cover, we'll know after the Jacksonville game. I'll get into that. But I think this kid would definitely be an upgrade. You want him. He's kind of like Mostert with better movement skills, younger, more power. So, this kid's a real good back, but you're going to have to give a series of draft picks, and then he's looking to get 12 to 14 million per season. That was what they're saying. So maybe it's not 12 or 14, maybe it's 10 to 12 or 11 to 13, whatever. It's over 10 per season with some sizable guarantees. It's going to suck up all the free money you got now, this season, and then you're minus 32 next year. And then maybe you could send some people saying Cedric Wilson. Oh, maybe. And he's a lower. But then Agba, you're going to have to take on $4 million next year and then like 15 to 16 this year for a 31-year-old guy or 30-year-old guy who's coming off a big injury. Now, maybe the Colts are that dumb, or they might just say, I'll take that cap and to help you out, but they're going to want something in return. And for me, if we win a Super Bowl this year, then it's worth it. But now it has to be Super Bowl. If Talyor comes here, you have to go to the Super Bowl. Not win it, but go to it. And then even the division round is going to be a letdown because next year I mean, now it's getting a little bit louder, the cap thing. Well, we're going to have to pay. We're never going to have to pay, dude. We just keep rolling over. It's the fantasy stuff. And now, well, it's going to kind of come due soon. It's going to come due. And how do you bring in Taylor, as it was on Alf's 3 yards per carry? I thought it was a very, very cogent point. And now it's like in my brain. How do you bring him on and make him one of the top running backs pay in the league? Maybe even reset the market, they're saying. And then you got Wilkins, who you're like, you know what? We're going to just tag you next year. He might just say, if you're bringing this guy in and not signing me, I'm holding out until the very end, maybe miss a couple of games. And then it's bitter times after that. I just think that as good as this kid is, I still don't see us having the line to generate the kind of stuff to make this kid the best that he can be. And that money could be, allocated elsewhere. Plus the picks. You're going to need picks to get cheap guys. It just seems like an all-in moment. But somebody else made a very cogent point. Russ is old. He might be ready, I don't know how much time I got left. This is all in. It might be Ross saying, just do it. I don't know. We'll see. It could be the greatest move. It could be the worst move. It could not happen. It could happen. Very, very, very interesting. But when I initially dismissed it, I was thinking of like, hey, let's stay sane. But this might be all in season for the Miami Dolphins. Whatever it is, whatever move is made, I just hope and pray it is the right one for this team. It's going to be a big one. Now, Dolphins, Jags, Cameron Wolf put this out. Dolphins head coach Doug Peterson plans to play Trevor Lawrence and the starters 1.5 to 2 quarters in preseason finale versus the Dolphins Saturday. A dress rehearsal with goal of clean operation. Dolphins DC Vic Fangio. Trevor Lawrence is a real dude, and he'll be a good test for us. The team itself is going to be a critical test. It's going to test our secondary, and it's going to test our offensive line. So the Jags went to the playoffs like us. They lost the first round like us. They had a bad pass defense like us, a good offense like us, and a good run defense like us. And it's a very interesting look that we're going to get. They were 28th against the pass on D, 12th against the run on D, 10th in pass on O, 14th in run offense. So you got Josh Allen. I don't think Tehran's playing. And so some of these other guys like Lamb and Jackson, they're going to get a very ultra-talented test by Allen for a quarter and a half. And if Jackson is going where some people are saying, if Lamb's as good as some people are saying, we're going to know it's the reveal. And I'm hoping they pass. I don't think they will, but I sure am hoping they pass. They got Chase on. He was a first-round pick from a couple of years. But he's still there. He's a talent. Smoot's another guy who's pretty good. Older guy, but he's a guy that's doing, he's pretty good. He's going to be a test. And then you got Hamilton, the inside, who's a quality DT. So there's a front here who you're going to get a longer dose of them. And I think this offensive line is going to get a clear test. Cotton probably going to play. He's coming back. Eichenberg. Jones is not in there, the big boy. So you're going to get these real testing opportunities. Not the touchdowns and all that other stuff, although it's going to be a little bit closer to what week 1, the regular season, will look like. But you're going to get real talent versus real talent, and both teams trying to win. Not game planning, not making certain calls, but there's a lot more trying to win in this one than there has been before, and that is ultra exciting. Now, Oluokun is the LB, and he's going to really show this running game to be legit. Now, with this front and Oluokun behind him, if we can run on this, then a lot of the hype factor 5 stuff we've been hearing about this rushing offense should be given lots of credibility. And I might have to alter my stance. And that's what I do here. It's about evaluations. It's not guru time. I change my evaluations as the information comes. So I'm hoping to do a major mea culpa on everything. But I've got to see it to believe it. And so far, from what I've seen previously up to this, despite the bulk yards, I'll get into that more tomorrow, I believe it's a little bit of a mirage. But we'll see. Big game, guys. I am doing major tape on that one. A one-on-one, up-close individual matchup, the whole thing. I'm so amped. This is like very exciting stuff. Now, the injuries, Cam Smith came back, still not fully there. I still think he's going to take the starting spot. But as Fangio said, he's got to prove to be, they can trust him. He makes big plays, but they got to prove to be, but he's a rookie. That's what's going to happen. Cotton's back. A lot of people are excited about that. We'll see. I think the kid's got talent, just a little bit not up, he doesn't have enough sand in the pants, not enough strength. My man Tehran is back, walking around. I don't think he's playing. I mean, maybe, but he's back. Zach Sealer with a tweaked knee. Now, that's only a tweaked knee. Guys, when you tweak your knee and you're limping around, it's not, that stuff lingers and it's a nick. Now, it might go away between now and week 1, but even if it's there a little bit, come week 1, it's going to get worse and worse, and it's going to be a management process. So if he can totally be healed and is totally gone, then there's no problem. But you don't want to be nicked going the season. That kind of sucks. And that's why, these guys are fighting for their money, because all it takes is one thing in practice and then your career's over. And then the team's like, I can't pay you. Sorry. Out of luck. Brandon Jones has been coming back. Red jersey's off. It's good. He needs reps. I still don't know what to gauge him with this defense. I'm sure he's getting the mental reps, but it's the physical reps. And then when he's in those physical reps, can he have the range and cover the way we need? Waddle's still not back. Now, I wondered about this abdominal injury. Was it a cracked rib? Was it a bruised rib cage? It was something very substantive. I mean, what could it be? You don't just fall on a football and like knock the wind out of you and you like got some bruising, a soreness, and you're out this long. I think there was a little bit more to this than meets the eye. It's a transformer, I guess. A-Chain, he's back, but he's still not back. The shoulder, they're still nursing it. Tana's back, and everybody's excited. I don't know. Who are they going to keep him? I mean, it's kind of weird that they cut him now. They should just put him on IR and kept him. I don't know. It's very weird. Maybe they just plan on cutting him. Mike White's overcoming concussion. He's not playing. So basically, we're going to get Tua for probably a quarter, a little bit over a quarter maybe, depending on how things are going. And then Skyler's going to carry the rest, which I like. It's going to be a good opportunity to see this kid play. But the concussion for White kind of does stink. Deshaun Hand, backup D-tackle. He's working to be part of the 53. I like him the best out of all the backers. I like Peely. I saw some stuff, but Hand's more sturdy. You can rely on him more. But maybe they keep Hand and Peely. I'm still doing my last bit of looks to finally make that call. But he's got a knee thing too. I don't think it's a big deal, but you just don't want your knee getting nicked up. It's something that can linger and then inflame. And then the Dolphins signed A.J. Johnson because he played Fangio's system, linebacker. And I asked myself, if Tyndale is doing so good, I mean, you've got Duke Riley, who's going to make it. You've got Baker, who's going to make it. You've got Long, who's going to make it. You've got Van Ginkel in and out, like, he's the emergency guy. So the rookies, I don't know if any of those are. So is this the guy to come in? But what about Tyndale? And so I don't know if it definitely says negative things about Tyndall. But it doesn't, I don't think it says positive things, because if you had a Baker and Long and Tyndall was the guy that you knew was going to be in there, you've got 3 linebackers, you've got your edge players all worked out. It's really kind of like those inside guys. And then you got Van Ginkel you've been training, maybe one more for special teams. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how this plays out. Tyndall, if he's not in the front of the lineup, as far as the defense come this Saturday, I don't like the direction for that. So anyway, this is the whole deal, the kit and caboodle of what's going on, guys. Overall, I think things are positive. I don't like the injuries. I don't certainly don't like all the hype around the team. It's very interesting what's going on with Taylor, but I'm concerned about the future. But overall, Tua's looking good. He's taking control of the situation. You got a bunch of guys injured, but no one's done for the season. And, you got Fangio here. You've got maybe the possibility of Taylor coming, and maybe that's a big deal. So this, right now, on the edge of the Jacksonville game, is critical. We just don't want any injuries there and want to have competent play. If it's above competent play, whoa, that's excitement. If it's very below confident play, that's not good. So let's just hope it's a solid game and we get no injuries. Anyway, Curtis saying, catch you guys soon. Be well. Catch you next time. Go Fins. Almost forgot what to say. Start building your own online sportsbook today by getting signed up with aceperhead.com service that'll allow you to book action on sports from all around the world.